wounds bleed in plain sight. Others fester behind locked doors or in hushed conversations. There are decades of unspoken pain. What if silence itself is the force that shapes who we become? After all, we inherit more than genetics. Welcome to the Heritage of Hush podcast. I'm Wanda Williams-Bailey, your host. Today's episode is on family secrets and mental health. Those hidden stories that shape our families from the inside out. What can we do to disrupt these cycles? We are joined by Dr. Victoria Shedrick, a licensed mental health professional and clinical consultant with expertise in trauma and family dynamics. Dr. V, how are you doing?
I am doing well, Wanda. Thank you so much for having me again. I hate that this is our last episode, but I am looking forward to it.
Dr. V, that is correct. This is going to be our last episode. So let's get started. Please be aware that this episode will talk about addiction, trauma, depression, anxiety, and emotional neglect. Listener discretion is advised. If this topic is hard for you, please take care of yourself and listen when you feel ready. So, let's get started. Dr. V, many people wonder, can anxiety, depression, addiction, or other mental health challenges be passed down through families?
Well, the answer is yes. But it's much more complex than just simply inheriting a condition. Mental health it can be influenced by genetics. There can be a genetic predisposition, but it also can be influenced by the environment. That includes family experiences. And so our DNA may increase our vulnerability to certain conditions,
Mm-hmm.
while family behaviors, communication styles, coping mechanisms, all of these things can reinforce those patterns.
That's interesting because I've heard people say that depression runs in the family, right?
hmm hmm
So, could you elaborate on genes and the environment working together?
Yeah,
Explain that.
yeah, I'd be happy to. Well, this is based on decades of scientific research that confirms that mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, bipolar, and even substance use disorders, often do run in families due to genetic factors. A child may inherit a biological vulnerability to these issues, but it's really important to understand that genes are not fate. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
our environment, relationships, life experiences, those are the things that shape how these vulnerabilities express themselves. So both nature and nurture play powerful roles when it comes to mental health.
So, then where do family secrets fit into this picture?
Well, family secrets can be deeply corrosive to the emotional well being of an individual. And so, in the context of depression, addiction, or trauma, when those things are present, and then you've got the silence around some unspoken secret, that becomes a form of stress.
Mm-hmm.
And children are exquisitely sensitive to unspoken pain and tension, as we've talked about in previous episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And without context, they may internalize this discomfort, and that leads to confusion, anxiety, or misplaced guilt. And that's what can show up in adulthood later.
Hmm. So, even if the
Mhm.
secret isn't spoken, its effects can still be felt?
Right, exactly.
Hmm.
And, secrets rarely stay hidden. We know the truth will come out at some point. And so,
Hmm.
and when they do, you know, they echo. And so a parent might seem emotionally distant or shaped by their own buried trauma.
Hmm.
A grandparent could respond to anxiety with avoidance or withdrawal. When a child observes this, they then start to absorb these responses. And often without realizing it, they start to carry the patterns forward. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So even if the original secret remains unspoken, the child takes on the emotional residue, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's when you talk about patterns, we've been talking about patterns throughout each episode. So I always thought that was very interesting. So what are some of the
Mhm.
patterns that get passed down through generations?
Yeah, that's a good question. Avoiding difficult conversations is one. You learn that, you know. You also can learn to suppress your emotions because if you're not able to fully express yourself within your home, good or bad emotions,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter, but it just leads to naturally a suppression of emotions. And then there's fear of vulnerability, not wanting to be too open in sharing emotional things. Um, Something that you probably hear a lot of, you might see this in family structures. I know even in my own family, um, we weren't really touchy feely emotional type people. We didn't even say I love, you know what I mean? The little
Mm,
things like that.
mm, mhm,
Families where you just grow up and it's like that was always odd to me when I would go visit other, see other people interact with their parents. I'm thinking, we're not really that affectionate. And
mhm.
then I grew up to not be that much of an affectionate person, right?
Yeah.
Affection was something I had to learn later. So
Mhm,
that right there is an example of a pattern, right? Where, affection not being displayed in a home can lead to someone lacking that. Also, I can relate to this too. Chronic worry and anxiety. You got an anxious mom. Trust
mhm,
me, anxious moms can create anxious daughters. Trust me. I can,
mhm.
I give full credit to my mother for my anxiety. She knows that. I love her dearly, but yeah, I inherited her anxiety. Um, Something else, Wanda, mistrust of others.
Mhm,
Not really feeling safe, with other people,
mhm.
and feeling like you can't trust. Shame. This is a big one, especially in certain cultures where there's shame around mental health treatment specifically. There's still a stigma
Yes,
attached to it. Yeah, I
yes,
don't
you
think
know
we
where I'm
talk about
going.
that enough.
You know where
Yeah,
I'm going. African
yeah,
Americans,
absolutely,
especially African
absolutely.
American males, because African American women
Yes,
have began to
yes,
embrace,
right, yes.
getting therapy. But brothers,
Mhm.
mm-mm,
Mhm.
mm,
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, but yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. When I was in private practice, majority of my clientele was, like 95% Black women, and I was like, this is awesome to finally see us,
mhm,
embracing mental health. But I rarely saw men. I rarely saw men. I hope that is changing though. And then I'd say the last pattern might be alcohol. We talked about that in our last episode.
yes, we
Alcohol
did.
and substance
Yes.
use. Yeah.
Mhm,
And so picking up on those unhealthy coping mechanisms to manage stress. And so again, over time, these behaviors they can become normalized within the family. And yes, the pattern can be passed on.
mhm. And another point I want to reference is because in each episode, some of these behaviors overlap.
Hmm.
We could talk about, incest or extramarital affair or these other,
Yes.
areas, sexual abuse. These
Yes.
experiences, these patterns, that's why I find it fascinating about this dialogue because
Hmm.
it overlaps. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and when I say interesting, what happens in this family stays in the family. How about that?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
something that's said all the time. Has been a central theme throughout each episode. That's why I'm bringing
Right.
it up.
Right. Absolutely. You're
Hmm.
right. There's a lot of commonality when we talk about all these issues. But
Hmm.
yeah, many families pass down that message.
Hmm.
And I want to say this, they may oftentimes I believe they pass that message down of what happens in this family stays in this family. I don't think they're not ill intention about it.
Mm-hmm.
Often it's with good intentions,
Mm-hmm.
to protect, to value privacy. But while privacy can be protective, secrecy is the thing we're talking about. That's the thing that can be harmful.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
when silence becomes the norm,
Mm-hmm.
it prevents individuals from seeking help, and that's what we don't want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Children, we want them to learn that they don't have to hide their pain, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We want them to be able to come to us and say, I'm feeling depressed, or I'm feeling sad,
Mm-hmm.
I'm feeling lonely. We want to cultivate environments where that's normalized,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And as adults, this can make it difficult to ask for support if you are constantly in this cycle of isolation and suffering where you're trying to do it all alone. That's the thing. That's the thing I think
Mm-hmm.
that happens and shows up a lot in our community, especially this
Mm-hmm.
sense of we just gotta push through. We just gotta, we'll be all right. Just pray,
Mm-hmm.
go to church, we're gonna push through, we're gonna get through, and just keep it moving, right?
That
But
sounds like me.
yeah, but
Sometimes I
nothing,
do that. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
but nothing really gets addressed.
So true. So can these patterns affect children even if they never learn the actual secret?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And we talked in previous episode how perceptive they are. And even if they don't know the details and they feel the emotional impact. Um, and sometimes children will internalize that stress. And when stress is internalized, what do you think that does to the nervous system? Poor thing. That kids start to develop anxiety, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yes, children can have anxiety. I want people to understand that. And yes, a child can develop depressive symptoms as well. So while others may act out through anger, defiance, or risky behaviors,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes underneath those behaviors may be some mental health issues that need to be addressed.
I see. So another phrase
Mm-hmm.
is in your DNA. What does that really mean?
In your DNA. Well, our DNA can pass along both strengths and vulnerabilities. I'll say that. And you might inherit a higher risk for depression, anxiety, or other conditions. Now, mind you, this is the case for health conditions as well. We see that in our community, especially with diabetes, high blood pressure, autoimmune diseases. So, this is no different than medical conditions. Mental
Mm-hmm.
health is the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But again, genes alone don't dictate fate.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine genetics as setting the stage.
Mm-hmm.
Life experiences, relationships, choices. That is what determines how the play unfolds.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you
Mm-hmm.
have the power to change the script,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so even though something may show up in your family, and I'm just using this as an example. I know high blood pressure was something that ran in my family, and I've been vegan for many years. I've always wanted to be very health conscious because I was just like, I don't want that. I saw what it did. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen diabetes show up in my family, and I was like, I just don't want that. So I made a decision, a conscious effort to
Mm-hmm.
choose a healthy lifestyle for
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
You could do the same exact thing when it comes to mental struggles or issues that you see in your family. You can
Mm-hmm.
choose something different for yourself.
Good point. And that's an important distinction. So could you elaborate more on that you just spoke of?
Well, yeah, families, again, like I said, they may inherit a predisposition to a mental health struggle. But like I said, the presence of supportive relationships, open communication, therapy even, and your own emotional awareness. This is, that's where you take ownership
Mm-hmm.
and you become empowered to do something different. Those things can, dramatically change the outcome. And so healing is not only possible, it's achievable, regardless of genetics.
Hmm. So, as we've been saying, healing can begin even if these patterns have existed for generations, right?
Absolutely. And see, the journey to healing, again, it comes with that awareness, honest awareness. And so when families face their history openly,
Mm-hmm.
they open doors to understanding and transformation. So conversations that once felt shameful become sources of strength.
Mm-hmm.
Seeking professional help, that's so important to empower families.
Yes.
And it helps to distinguish between what is inherited
Mm-hmm.
and also what is learned.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and family therapy, I strongly encourage individuals to seek that out as a resource because you can absolutely learn ways to break cycles
Mm-hmm.
that have existed within your family previously. And you can break that.
Well, you brought that up, and I was going to ask you, what would you say to listeners who are recognizing these patterns in their own family? So you sort of
Yeah.
mentioned that. Do you have any more you would like to say about that?
Well, recognizing first that you know there is an issue is to me the biggest thing. It's an act of courage, just recognizing the family pattern
Mm-hmm.
without blame. That's the thing. You don't have to necessarily blame anyone for it,
Mm-hmm.
to own and acknowledge that something happened.
Mm-hmm.
Insight also gives you the freedom to make different choices for yourself. Like I use myself as an example. You get to choose, right? How you want to live your life and whether you want to live it the same as mom and dad did it or you want to do it your way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so inherited vulnerabilities aren't just one part of your story. Inherited vulnerabilities are just one part of your story. You have the power to write new chapters.
Mm-hmm.
A family secret may give some context, but it doesn't have to define your destiny.
So true. So true. That's a powerful message. So again, it's healing, resilience, and hope is the way. Is what we've been saying.
Absolutely.
Is what we've been saying.
Absolutely, exactly. And the legacy of pain can be interrupted. That's what your listeners really need to take away. They
Mm-hmm.
can interrupt that. And so when even one person chooses honesty, support, and healing, it sends ripples of change throughout an entire family tree. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it can transform not only their life,
Mm-hmm.
but naturally,
Mm-hmm.
it will also transform the lives of future generations.
So, Dr. V, do you have any final thoughts on healing and services for listeners that we've been talking about towards the end of our programming, like therapy, the clinical services and
Sure.
support lines? And I know you're very good at elaborating on that.
Sure,
Mm-hmm.
sure, sure. I mean, if you are looking for a therapist, I would first suggest Psychology Today. It is a website where individuals can do a search based on their location, based on whether they want a male or female, based on specialization, based on what insurance they have, based on cost. You can narrow it down and you can look at actual bios
Mm-hmm.
of licensed professional counselors. And this is a legit website where you're getting individuals that are licensed because they've been vetted.
Mm-hmm.
If you're specifically looking for a clinician of color, There is also another website called Therapy for Black Girls.
I know. I heard
And
of it. I heard of it.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
and they actually have a podcast, in fact.
They do. Mm-hmm.
Mhm. And so Therapy for Black Girls is, sort of a go-to for, women who want to have a therapist that looks like them. And that's understandable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I want to, normalize, that cultural representation that sometimes really does matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is even therapy for Black men.
Mm,
That that's
I was going to ask you
yeah,
to mention
yeah,
that one
yeah,
to
yeah.
highlight that. Yes.
There's also a
Mm-hmm.
directory for Black men who are in need of therapy, and they can find someone that can specialize in working with them. Um, of course, if anyone is experiencing a mental health emergency or crisis, experiencing suicidal ideation, anything along those lines, we have the 988 number. It's
Mm-hmm.
important that people understand the difference. It's not 911. We're not calling the police, but 988. Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we get the right support. So if it's a mental health crisis, 988 is where you want to call, and you'll have someone that can walk you through what to do, get you where you're safe, stabilized, even providing other resources for you. And so those are just a few things. I think people always are concerned about the cost of therapy. And, whether you have insurance or not, sometimes even with insurance, there's a copay or deductible. I just want to say, of all the things we spend our money on, to
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
the investment in your mental health
Mm-hmm.
should prioritize, you know, just about any and everything. That should be a major priority, to invest in your mental health. It's certainly, to me, more important than anything exterior. I think
Mm-hmm.
we focus far too much on the outside of ourselves, how we
Mm-hmm.
look and how we present.
Mm-hmm.
Spend a lot of money getting our hair done, our nails done, skin care, all these things that we call self-care.
Mm-hmm.
But are you really paying attention and taking care of the person inside?
Absolutely.
Have you
Absolutely.
healed these inner childhood wounds, you
Mm-hmm.
see?
Mm-hmm.
And so I really want to encourage people to know that it's a small price to pay to obtain healing
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to investing in your mental health.
Well, that was very good. I'm glad you tapped into those areas that are very important for people to understand how to reach out to different services because, like you said, your mental health is important. It's vital to
It
sustain you.
is.
So if you don't take care of that, you can really wither away, I guess, pretty much is what I'm thinking at
Mm,
that point. So thank you
mhm.
for that. I appreciate you
Oh,
sharing that
no
bit of
problem. Of
information.
course.
And now this is tough
Mhm.
because as we close this season, I want to thank you, dear listeners, for being part of this deeply meaningful journey with us.
Mm,
Your willingness to engage, reflect, and grow alongside us is what gives this work its true heart.
mm,
I want to take a moment to express my deep gratitude for Dr. Victoria Shedrick,
mm,
whose wisdom, empathy, and steadfast dedication has been a guiding light.
mm,
Dr. Shedrick's professional excellence and genuine compassion has not only elevated every conversation on Heritage of Hush, but have also touched lives, often hope and healing to all who tuned in. Dr.
mm,
Shedrick, your courage in sharing your
mm,
knowledge, wisdom, and voice, wow, has transformed this podcast into a
mm.
sanctuary where truth can be spoken and stories honored.
Oh, wow.
Your presence has been a source of strength and inspiration,
Mm-hmm.
helpful or
Mm.
helping us build a community rooted in empathy and understanding.
Wow. Thank you. I am touched and honored by your words, Wanda. That means so much to me. Thank you.
So, reflecting on our mission, we set out to challenge, enlighten, and empower to hold space for the hard conversations about intergenerational secrets and the stories that shape us. Though we may not be able to rewrite the past, together we are daring to imagine and create a brighter future that is more hopeful. When we bravely face and break the patterns we inherit, we reclaim the power to shape our own legacies, choosing what to carry forward and what to release. I'm a firm believer. Journaling is more than putting words to paper. It is an
Mm,
act of courage, self liberation, and a
mm,
bold affirmation that your voice, your truth, and your story matters deeply.
mm,
Healing begins the moment you choose courage over silence. Thank you for traveling this path with us. The next chapter of your transformation starts today. Dr. V, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, wow. Wanda, first, thank you for those kind words of affirmation. It just lets me know and confirms that I am in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And of course, I want to thank you for creating this space. And more importantly, I want to thank you for trusting yourself to tell your family story in such an honest and meaningful way. My hope is that the courage that you've displayed over the course of these 8 episodes will encourage others to reflect on their own stories
Mm,
and recognize that healing begins, as you say, when we break the silence.
mm-hmm,
I want to thank you personally for inviting me to be a part of this project, for trusting me with your vision.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
When you first reached out to me, it was like I knew immediately this is definitely something that aligned with my values and what I believe in. And
mm-hmm,
I saw your vision, and I thank you. I thank you for sharing it with me and trusting me with it, trusting me with your listeners. Um, and what I believe will become an important part of your legacy, Wanda. Truly, it has been an honor to walk alongside you in this.
mm-hmm,
I also want to acknowledge Marcy, our wonderful producer. She has done a phenomenal job, and I want to thank her for her creativity,
mm-hmm,
her professionalism, and care behind the scenes, all of which has helped bring these meaningful conversations to life. Thank you, Marcy. And finally, I want to thank our listeners, to everyone who's listened, subscribed, shared these conversations, or just simply spent some time with us. Thank you. I hope that something we've shared has resonated with you, encouraged
mm-hmm,
you in some meaningful way, and that these conversations, I hope they continue long after the episode's end. So
mm-hmm.
finally, I'll leave you with this. Remember, every family has a story, but every family also has the opportunity to write a different ending. May God bless you all.
Thank you, Dr. V.
You're
It has
welcome.
been grand.
Hmm.
Last but certainly not least, I want to express my deepest gratitude to my niece,
Yes.
Marcy Hudgens, as the producer on this project. Her extraordinary talent and unwavering dedication transformed my vision into reality.
Hmm.
Working alongside her has been an inspiration and a privilege, filling each moment with joy and purpose.
Hmm.
Marcy Hudgens, your spirit and commitment have left an indelible mark on my heart.
Mm,
Thank you for making this journey unforgettable. I love you dearly.
mm,
Well, there you have it. At its
mm-hmm.
core, Heritage of Hush is about creating a community where healing can happen, and every story is valued. Once again, by sharing our truths, we encourage others to do the same. We invite you to share your story for a chance to be featured on one of our upcoming episodes. Please visit azizipennandpod.com for guidance and instructions for submission. Details about the upcoming episode will be posted on our website. Once again, thank you for listening. Please share this podcast and previous episodes with someone who needs to hear them. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Remember that Heritage of Hush is a place where silence breaks, secrets speak, and healing begins. Take care and stay safe.